Hey y'all, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel for my first garden tour of the season. Y'all, I am so excited to be back out in my garden. I've missed it so much. We've been having some crazy weather here, y'all. So today is March 21st. First day of spring yesterday, and it feels amazing out here right now. It is about 60 degrees. Early this morning, we were down in the low 20s, as well as yesterday. So I'm going to give you guys a quick overview, just kind of give y'all a heads up. Some things may be a little bit winter damage because I did not come out here and cover anything. But I just want to give you guys kind of like a before shot of what things are looking like this time of year. My garden is just now starting to wake up out of winter dormancy. So let's start up at the front like I normally do. All right, so here is what my front garden bed is currently looking like. My pansies in my pots are still doing okay. They're hanging in there. They probably could use some more watering. I did come out here and do a slight trim on them. I want to say about a month ago. So this is all new growth that they're flushing out. I don't think these are actually trailing pansies, y'all. So I don't think they're going to do too much more. I just want them to carry me through until I'm ready to start planting next month. Down here in my planter box, I do have 3 ferns planted in here that I did cut back in February, hoping that they'd come back, y'all. Like I know they're still alive, but I know we just had a frost as well. So we'll see how they do. My ground cover, this chocolate chip bajuka, is starting to bud up and bloom. If you guys have been following along over the years, you know this blooms a gorgeous sea of purple. And I've actually been slowly trying to get rid of it, you guys. I don't like how it looks when it's not in bloom. So I just have a small little patch here, and you might see some peeking through. That's a weed, so ignore it. But yeah, chocolate chip bajuka down there. This is actually 3 daylilies that I combined together to make one big bush. That is coming back beautifully. Doesn't look like it's been affected by the cold temperatures at all, so happy about that. Down here in my planter, y'all. So this one did get nipped by the cold. This is actually labeled as an annual mum from the fall. I'll insert a picture of what it looked like. Gorgeous blooms. It's 3 colors, but it did unfortunately get nipped by the cold. So I think it'll be okay. I'm just going to do a trimming on it, and hopefully it'll flush out once the temperatures start to warm up. Y'all, today's Tuesday. On Thursday, we're supposed to be in the upper 80s. So yeah, crazy temperatures. Welcome to North Carolina weather. Over here, I do have my blue globe spruce, which is finally starting to color back up, y'all. So I have learned a lot about spruces over the past year. So this one actually turned completely green through the winter months. And now that the sun is finally starting, if you guys can see, it's starting to peek around. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. My front garden bed is in complete shade all winter long. It does not see any sun at all. So around springtime, it does get, just like the front part of this starts to get sun once the sun moves around the house, but the back part still remains shaded until the middle, dead heat of summer. So this is finally starting to color up. So if this does not receive enough sunlight, it will revert back to just a green shrub. So the blue, icy blue color is finally starting to come back. Looks like I lost a few needles here. Might just prune that back, I'm not sure. But yeah, excited to see the color coming back on this, and I'll probably keep this here maybe for another 2 years or so. These actually get massive, so I know it's going to outgrow this space eventually, but loving the color there right now. And then behind that, if you guys watched my cleanup video, you did see I did a slight pruning on my euonymus. It has pushed out more new growth, which looks like it's doing okay. Yeah, I'm hoping I'll get some more growth on this one stem here, but everything else is doing well. My autumn joy sedums are coming back lovely. I love this little tight, lush green ball shape that they flush out with their new growth every year. I did also tuck in a few hyacinth bulbs that I got on clearance for 80 cents each from Walmart. So I've got 3 popped in here. They're all purple. And then I also tucked in 3 back there, which are all purple, and they are fizzling out. So I'm just going to keep them there. I don't cut back my hyacinth bulbs until the foliage starts yellowing, because the sun is still, they're not really in sun, but they are still absorbing sunlight and photosynthesizing to give that bulb some energy to bloom next year. So I'll cut those back probably in another few weeks or so. Boxwood is flushing out with new growth. Doesn't seem to be affected at all, so that is good. And then I have another one planted over there. Those were just popped in temporarily to overwinter. They will be moving to my backyard eventually. And then on my back row, I have my little giant arborvitae here on the end. Also another one over here. And then these are 2 boxwoods on each side that have been in the ground 5 years now. They were planted as tiny little babies, y'all. Like, I want to say I planted them from maybe either a 4 or 6 inch pot. They were tiny, and this is how much growth they put on. And then in the center here, I don't know, y'all, this is my dwarf cryptomeria that I transplanted last spring, and I know it got affected by the harsh snap of freeze that we had back in December, but I'm not sure, y'all. I mean, it is flushing out. Look, y'all see, it's flushing out new growth, so it's trying. I'm gonna leave it, see how it does. If it's not recovering, like looking better by May, I may relocate that plant, but I'm gonna leave it there for now. I do have 2 hydrangeas that I popped in this bed. They're starting to flush out with their new leaves. These are hydrangea macrophyllus, and I want to say these are the city line hydrangeas. I can't remember. I will have to go watch an old video to see what I actually planted here. Those I'm going to attempt to keep in this bed, like just to see how they do. They may get too much sun. I may end up having it, especially that one. That one may end up frying in summertime. I'm just going to see how they do. If they don't do well, I can always relocate them. Did cut back my lungwort as well. That is flushing out with new growth, and it is trying to bloom, y'all. Again, our temperatures have just been so crazy. Rosie is still sitting here holding her marker for where I do not need to plant. And then beside her, I do have my anemone that is also starting to peek up. Down in front, I have a drift of salvia planted. This is purple salvia coming back nicely, so I'm happy about that. It looks like it's going to actually maybe fill in a little bit better than it has the previous years. By the way, all of this stuff I got on clearance. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so sorry I did not say that in the beginning, but I do garden in zone 7B here in North Carolina, and most of my garden consists of clearance plants. So my garden is not mature. You will see a lot of new baby plantings or plantings that are coming out of rehab that I purchased on clearance and just like to rehab them and watch them grow. So that's my little spiel. Down here in the front, you guys, I am so anticipating this show. Like, I feel like, I know I'm getting off track here, but do y'all remember Dennis the Menace, Mr. Wilson? And he had that plant that he was waiting years to watch bloom and then he missed it? That's how I feel about my daffodils. So this is a variety that is late blooming. There are some varieties that bloom early spring. Mine are late bloomers. Like, most of daffodils in my area have already bloomed and they are dying back. Mine are just starting to put on their buds. So y'all see that I have 1, 2, 3. So this is their 3rd. Let me think about this. Yes, this year is going to be their 3rd season. So they are starting to like beef up and multiply, which I'm excited because I did just plant 1 single bulb. So they're starting to naturalize. Cannot wait for their show. So I'll definitely make sure to give you guys an update when those are in bloom. But I do have a nice drift of them lining the front of my bed. And then I do have a couple perennial mums tucked in here that I think I'm going to end up pulling because I just tucked them in there for some fall color, and that is not in my design plan for the summer. So those will be coming out eventually. And then down here in front, I decided not to plant anything through the winter months. So I just left that blank. I do like to leave my front border for my annual planting. So you guys will see that soon. Over here, I did cut back my lamb's ear back in February as well. It is starting to flush out with new growth. I'm hoping this one will make it. So these 3 over here, there's actually 3 plants. These 3 I just planted last spring to finish off my ring. So all of this will fill in. It'll be nice and full and lush. You won't even be able to see the base of the tree eventually. And this lovely emerald green arborvitae I planted from a little tiny baby. I was so scared I was going to lose it last year, y'all, but I did realize that I actually had a rabbit that was eating the base of the tree. So it's not a soil issue, it's not a fungal issue, it's not disease. Tree is perfectly fine. It was just a rabbit eating the base, and by the time that the lamb's ear fills in, you can't even tell that the tree is kind of like missing some foliage down there at the base. So excited I did not lose this tree, because this is what 6 years of growth looks like, y'all. So I planted these, I want to say they were shorter than this when I planted it. So it was a tiny baby, and this is how much it's grown in 6 years. So yeah, y'all, that is pretty much it for the front bed. I do have a hibiscus tree that I forgot to bring in last fall to overwinter, so that unfortunately I don't think is going to come back, but we'll see. So I do need to clean up and decorate eventually. All right, you guys, up here on my driveway, these are my DIY stone planters that I did. Ooh, I think that DIY was maybe 3 or 4 years ago at this point. So I do need to do a little bit of a touch-up job with the paint situation here, but unfortunately, I did lose my tree, you guys. I think it's just been too much moisture and not enough sunlight for this, because this does take full sun, and like I said, all winter long this is just shaded. So unfortunately I did lose this one, but this one over here is still alive. So I'm thinking I'm just going to dig this one up, relocate it in my backyard, and I'm hoping it'll rehab, and then I'll just figure something else to plant in my planters for the spring. And then these down here are my clearance hibiscus that I picked up for $3 last year. They've just been doing amazing, y'all. So this will be another DIY project. I plan on spray painting these pots. And then y'all did see in my previous video, I did have my delivery from Soil Cubed. All of my compost is so ready to go. So y'all know the projects are coming. Oh yeah, almost forgot. I did also plant 3 mums along my walkway here. The third one has not peaked up yet, but fingers crossed it comes back. These are perennial. And then y'all, look at my lawn. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? It's so lush and green. Y'all, when I tell you I have been babying my grass, like just my front yard. Backyard's a whole different story, but my front yard, I have been babying this for like the past 3 to 4 years, and it has been paying off, y'all. Like, I know I've never done a video on my lawn care, just I feel like nobody would be interested in that. If you're watching gardening and plant videos, who wants to see grass? But technically it is part of landscaping. So you guys leave me a comment down below and let me know if you'd be interested in seeing what I use on my grass. But yeah, y'all, I'm telling you, when I moved in, none of this was here. Like, I had no garden beds, none of this existed, no tree ring, no bushes, nothing. Like, this was just straight weeds. It wasn't even grass, it was just weeds. I'll see if I can insert a picture, if I can find one from when I first moved in. It just looks so good, y'all. I'm so happy with it. Anywho, enough about the grass. Let's get back to the plants. Along my driveway, I do have my Anna's Magic Balls doing amazing. This is their almost 6th year in the ground. They do bronze out in the wintertime, but in the summer they do flush out with new fresh green growth, so they're starting to color back up. In between them, I did go in and plant some hyacinth bulbs. So these are the bulbs that I picked up from Walmart for 80 cents each on clearance. I just alternated purple, pink, purple, pink. Yes, the blooms are spent now, but again, I'm just going to leave the foliage till it starts yellowing and then cut them back, and they will flush out beautifully next year to enjoy. And then down here in my mailbox bed, y'all, this is my low maintenance bed. Like, I hardly do anything in this bed. It's so simple and yet so lush and gorgeous. So I have another Anna's Magic Ball tucked in here. This one was actually transplanted from the other side of my driveway a couple years ago. I've got 2 Carissa Hollies, which I think I'm actually going to come in and do some shaping on them this year. Y'all, I just planted them and I have not done anything. Like, I have not trimmed these up at all. They are evergreen. They're gorgeous. I love their shiny leaves. They're just now starting to flush. So yeah, love, love, love this holly. It's probably my favorite holly. My abelia, y'all see this color. All of that is new growth. So abelias, at least in my yard, I don't know about the other varieties, but this one in particular, it does drop all of its leaves in the winter time, and then it flushes out with new growth early spring. So this is all new fresh growth that you're seeing. So it comes out this pretty like cotton candy color, and then it eventually turns green in the summertime, and in the fall it turns to like a pretty reddish color, and the blooms are beautiful. They're pink and white, so pretty. So love this shrub. I do need to come in and just kind of like shape it up, which I'll do in another video. And then in my 2 planters here, I just have 2 fluffy golden arborvitaes, which looks like they did get a little bit of winter damage on them, but I think they'll rebound and be okay. I want to say this will probably be the last year that I keep this in this, because I don't want the root ball to get too big. So when I transplant them, I have to dig a huge hole. So I think this is the last year I'm going to keep them in the pots and just underplant them with some pretty annuals. And then this barberry is going to be coming out. So stay tuned for that video. I will be doing a slight little makeover on this bed. Over here on the other side of my driveway, I call this my barberry bed. If you all will remember, in my previous video, I did state that I was going to be removing my butterfly bush. It's gone, y'all. I just couldn't take it. I know butterfly bushes are great pollinators. They attract a ton of butterflies, and I just was not in love with like how it was growing into my Japanese maple here. It was starting to grow out into the fence. You can see my fence is built here, so completely dug that out, and I did pop in some snowdrift here just temporarily. I don't know if I'm going to keep this here, but I just thought it was a pretty pop of color. I needed some blooms for spring, so that is there now. I do have another barberry here. This is an Inaba Shidar Japanese maple, which eventually will be coming out and relocating as well. Emptied out my planter. I have an Abelia, barberry, another barberry, another Abelia, and then a barberry tucked in there. And then over here I have barberry, euonymus, barberry. It looks like my euonymus, ooh, it got nipped by the cold as well, but I think it'll flush out. So from here on out, we're supposed to have warm temperatures. So I think we are past the like danger frost, like 28 or below. But yeah, so this bed I do plan on extending like farther out because I really don't care for the shape here. But yeah, that will be coming up in another video, so stay tuned. And then I also have my balls lining the driveway going up with the alternating purple pink hyacinths in between. Behind me, I did cut back my fountain grasses and still haven't really decided how I want to shape this bed, just because the grasses get so big you can't even tell that this dirt is here eventually. But I did cut those back. Can't wait to see those flush out. This is actually, what are you? This is lavender. This is a lavender plant that I planted here just temporarily. Probably will relocate that eventually. Euonymus is still sitting here in this planter. This is a hibiscus filled with weeds that I need to clean out. And then that is a clearance daylily that I'm not even sure if that's alive, y'all. We'll see. Then I have my lovely limelight here. This is the one that fell over in the storm last year, and I do think it's time for me to remove the stakes. I think it's done fine, and it's flushing out with new growth, y'all. I love this tree so much. Like, I was so upset last year when I saw it fall over, and I'm so glad that I was able to save it. All right, moving around to the east side of my house, this is what I like to call my shade garden. As you can see, this entire side of the house is shaded. So it does get morning sun, and then in the afternoon it's protected from that harsh west afternoon sun. So starting out, I do have my lungwort planted here. This is actually the one that was dying, that I almost thought I was going to lose a couple years ago. Moved it to this side of the house, and it has just been loving its life. It is just about to start flushing out blooms. Like, do y'all see all those buds? So excited for that. It's just been doing amazing, y'all. And look, it's put out a little baby back there. So I'm definitely going to dig that up, and hopefully I'll have a whole nother free plant. And then this, I know it looks like a weed, but this is actually ground cover. I have a bunch of it I planted back here to try and smother out the weeds. I just need to come in and do a whole clean out over here on this side. So anywho, on the back row here, I have 3 Distillium that I planted. These were on clearance, and it looks like they have got nipped by the cold temperatures, unfortunately. Y'all, I didn't have the time to come out here and cover anything. So, but I think they'll be fine. They get morning sun, they'll rebound, they'll be perfectly fine. In between them, I do have 2 Bloom Chocolata, I think they're geraniums. I want to say, don't quote me on that, but they are starting to come up. If you can see that there, those little leaves. And then down here in front, I have planted 3 heuchera, and y'all, when I tell y'all these are the toughest heuchera I have ever come across, I'll have to research and put the name up here on the screen for y'all, because I really don't remember what variety they are. But when I tell y'all these can take full sun, they have made it through the winter. Like, do y'all see how full they are? Like, they didn't wilt or anything throughout those harsh temperatures we've got, and they still look great. So pleased with those. And then around in here-ish and here-ish, I have 2 hostas that have not peaked up yet. And then down here in front, I have a plantain lily that is already starting to flush up. Y'all see that? Oh, I'm so excited. Love seeing this. It means spring has arrived to me. Moving right along, I have another baby little lungwort. So this was the pup that it put off last year. So planted that. It's going to do great. I do have another anemone planted here in the front. It's also starting to like spread here. So I need to dig those up and those will be full plants. And then over here on my curve, I did originally plant 3 Hyconocloa. Unfortunately, I did lose this one in the center here, so I'm just gonna have to buy another one and replace it. This one was struggling last year. It looks like it's starting to come up, so I'm hopeful that one will survive. I thought about dividing this one, but I think I'm just gonna leave it alone and buy another one. So I'll have 3 to fill in this nice little curve. They'll make a nice grassy mound to spill over the pavers. And then look, y'all. Oh, do you see that? This is my Solomon seal starting to come up. I get so excited when I see those little pink heads coming up, y'all. I'm just, oh, spring is on the way. Okay, so I need to address a few things over on this side and over. First off, please ignore the side of my house. It needs pressure washing so bad, which I'll be doing in the next couple of weeks. I did have to move my spiral, y'all. I didn't have to, but I decided to. And yes, I will be doing a trimming to reshape this because it don't even look like a spiral anymore at this point. Anywho, this used to sit closer to the wall, if you can see where the drip line kind of like ended there. So I did move it forward. In doing that, I did have to move a couple of my hostas. So somewhere about here-ish, I have a praying hands hosta that will come up. And then beside that, I did have a trio of 3 white hostas. So I moved one of the white hostas over here. And I still have 2, I think, that should be coming up in here somewhere. I'm not even sure, y'all. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I just wanted to move this farther away from the house because my neighbor kind of gave me a scare, y'all. He had to move out of his house for 2 months because roots were growing into his house pipes and caused a huge flood. So this is actually right where my shower and tub are in my bathroom. So I wanted to move it farther away from the house just to give myself more peace of mind. Anywho, along here on my back row, I have 5 hydrangeas, which y'all, I think I'm going to be replacing these as well because they're just not doing what I want them to do. Like I need them to be like this tall, and they've been in the ground, I want to say 3 or 4 years now, and they have not increased in size. So these I will be replacing and moving somewhere else or maybe giving away. And then in between this empty space here, you guys can see that I have my giant calla lily already coming up. I have a regular calla lily planted here that has not come up yet. In the center, I have a huge Brother Stephen hosta that has not peeked through yet. Another regular calla lily here, and then the giant calla lily here. So, gotta have my symmetry. Y'all know how I do. And then down along my front curve here, I had some extra hyacinths that I picked up on clearance for 80 cents. Tucked them in, and I'll insert a picture for y'all because they were looking gorgeous when I planted them, but now they're starting to die back. So I'm excited to see these next year, and they smell heavenly, y'all. Like the smell is so fragrant. But yeah, just fill those in. They'll die back, and then I'll probably come in with some annuals or something this spring. And then over here, same thing. I did move this tree forward as well. So it used to sit back there. Moved it forward. I do have 2 snowdrifts that I tucked in here just for some spring bloom color, and they've been doing amazing as well. My rhododendron, I don't know, y'all. I don't know how I feel about this here because again, on this whole side of my house, this is all white blooms. That blooms pink. And then also my Pinky Winky on standard also blooms pink, but that's in a container. It will be moving to the backyard at some point. And last but not least, I have a big hosta that will be coming up where this stake is as well. So I do have, I think, just a bare empty space back there, y'all. I might need to find something to tuck in. I don't think I have anything planted there. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the shade garden bed. And then I do have my 2 topiaries here flanking my entry gate, which y'all, they got nipped by that harsh cold that we have. And I think they also, if y'all see that, I'm thinking maybe as an iron deficiency. I know they also have been severely underwatered as well. So I will be babying these to get them back lush and green and filled out, because y'all know how much I love these topiaries last year. So yeah, we'll be babying these back. Still need to cut my grass over here, y'all. But I do also plan on getting my pathway installed soon over here as well. So let's go ahead and head into the backyard. All right, y'all, welcome to my backyard mess is what I like to call it. So y'all, I just completely stopped gardening last year. Like, I had so many issues with the fence and all of the hailstorms and like craziness that was happening. I just completely stopped gardening once I started working full time. So everything back here looks like chaos. It's stressing me out, but we are going to get it together. So the backyard is going to be my main focus this year. I feel like the front garden is pretty much under control. Just a few little things I want to replace and tuck in, but back here is going to be my main focus. So I'm going to walk you guys through it. I am a little bit embarrassed to show you the state of what it looks like, but this is real life gardening with Jess. So let's go ahead and start off with my front bed off to my right here. All right, so this is what I like to call my bay window bed. So this is my bedroom window back here. It is a bay window, hence the name. So from here over, everything will be remaining the same. From here to my left is my patio, and no, it still has not been extended, y'all. I know I've been talking about this for the past 2 years, have not got around to that project yet, but it has literally become my dumping ground at this point. So I'm not even going to show you. It looks like a total disaster. So we're just going to focus on this area here. Right here in the front is my limelight tree on standard. This one actually almost completely uprooted in one of our storms last year, and I just never got around to staking it. So it's doing fine. It's still alive. Y'all saw I pruned it in my hydrangea video, and it is starting to leaf out. So it's doing fine. I'm just going to come in and straighten it up a bit, get some stakes in, it'll be fine. I do have a beehive holly here that I got on clearance a couple years ago. It's doing amazing, y'all. It just needs a shaping. And then down here in front, I have a daylily, which will be relocating. A bunch of weeds that I need to pull. Another daylily here that will be remaining. And then back here, I have 3 soft touch compacta hollies, I think, which they're doing fine, y'all, but I really think I want to dig them up and move them under my window. I think it'll look better there, because these 3 little anise back here, y'all, I'm over it. So they have not done any better than when I planted them 3 years ago. Like, they're still the exact same size, the same like scrawny, almost dead looking plants. So I think I'm going to dig those out and relocate them. Hopefully they'll do better in another location in my yard. And I'm trying to decide what I want to plant that will stay low enough and not block my window. So I don't want boxwoods. I don't want any junipers. Maybe these hollies, I'm not sure. Y'all, I need some suggestions. So if you have any suggestions of what I can plant that will stay low enough, I need something that's going to stay right around the 2 foot, like no more than 2 feet tall range. Leave those down below, because I definitely need some help on that. So yeah, sunshine anise back there will be coming out. Right here in the center, I have a bobo hydrangea, which is doing amazing, y'all. I have a boxwood here, which will be relocating as well. It's getting too much water in this area. So my gutters like overspill here, and it's just getting way too much water. So I'm going to dig that out, relocate it, give it a nice trimming, and just let it flush out with lush green leaves. Beside that, I have a blue saffron rose of Sharon, which is doing great. It loves its life. It blooms amazing every year, so I'm going to keep that there. And then beside that, I have a fluffy golden arborvitae, which, y'all, it's been doing amazing. Like, I love the way that it looks here, but if I keep letting it grow the way that it is, these two here eventually will end up touching. So y'all, look at my topiary. It has just loved its life, y'all. I was so worried about planting here. Do y'all see how high I had to mound this up? It's like 6 inches above ground level. So it's been doing great. I took a risk planting it there. It's been doing amazing. I haven't had any issues. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I prune, or shape topiaries, leave me a comment down below. I'll be happy to film that. Otherwise, I'll just film it off camera and get it done, because filming just slows everything down, unfortunately. But if you're interested in seeing that, I'll definitely get that filmed for you guys. My topiary over here also got nipped by the cold, but it is starting to flush out with new growth. So that gives me signs of hope. Y'all see these little baby leaves? I think it'll be fine. I just need to keep watering it. Y'all, I was not out here watering like I need to, so I'm going to get that hooked up on drip so I won't have to worry about it. But yeah, I'm thinking about extending this area, so I want to move this outward so that they aren't touching. I do have 3 Stella de Oro daylilies planted around the base, so I can just move those out, extend my curve outward so that this has enough room to grow. And then y'all saw me plant up this bed last year with a few like perennials just to kind of beef up and give more color to this bed. So I know they look like weeds, but right here and right there, back there in the corner here, I think there's one over in this area as well, and then this one down here, those are all lilies that will pop up. And then back here I have a drift of Millennium Garlic. I still need to get one more to finish off my little hedge right there. And then I have a drift of Veronica. So cannot wait to see those. They're coming back amazing. Weren't affected by the cold, so I'm just glad we had all of these freezing temperatures before my garden started to wake up. So, and then down here I just have my empty space where I like to tuck in my annuals. So that is my backyard bay window bed. Whew, I'm running out of breath, y'all. So behind me is my hedge of home shrub arborvitaes that I planted last year. And y'all, when I tell you I am so impressed with these arborvitaes, like I just wish I could have these everywhere. Like y'all know how I feel about evergreens. They are doing amazing. I only have one that I think I need to replace in this hedge. I know y'all are probably like, what is going on? Like it looks so janky. These are actually plants lining the back fence line that I need to remove. So if you are new to my channel or have not been following along, this entire bed lining this fence line is what I used to call rehab row, which is basically a bed that I created to plant all of my clearance plants in, let them rehab until they are ready to locate to their permanent homes in my garden. So I am going to be retiring rehab row. I know, so sad y'all, but I have a new rehab row coming, and I am going to be making this a formal bed here. So that is going to be my first big project. I cannot wait to get started. Compost is already here, landscape fabric's here. I'm just trying to decide on pavers. So yeah, y'all, I'll give y'all more detailed information when I actually do this project, so stay tuned for that video. Basically, I will be moving all of the perennials that are left in this bed, moving them and making this a formal planting bed. So I know it looks like a mess now. Again, this is the before, and stay tuned for the after. But really quick, I did want to address my drainage project from last year. So if y'all remember, I had a ton of puddling issues up there by my gate entry. When I tell y'all, I have had zero problems. Like 2 snaps and a pat on the back for me for doing that myself. I saved so much money by doing that myself. Basically what I did was I dug a trench all the way from actually my gutters. I buried my downspout, dug a trench all the way down from the gate all the way out underneath my fence, installed a French drain, and it has worked beautifully, y'all. Like when I tell y'all I've had no puddling, zero squishy or mushy areas, like it's worked awesome. Those 2 catch basins I installed as well, chef's kiss. So yeah, basically I plan on extending my beds out over the trench, so it'll probably will come out, so this like bare areas where the trench is actually buried, so it'll come out probably about maybe like here-ish. So I will be cutting out some of my grass and then making this a gorgeous planting bed. So definitely stay tuned for that video. I am so excited for that project because I'm just so sick of looking at this mess, y'all. Seriously. All right, and this little island area here is also kind of like another rehab holding section, if you will. So down here in the front, I have a hibiscus. There's another hibiscus planted here. I've got 2 limelight primes tucked in. This is a peach tree, which will be relocating. And then this one right here is a vitex that I got on clearance. This one is actually going to be permanently staying here. This is the only plant that is in its permanent location. So that will be staying. I've got several sprinter boxwoods that will be relocating to their homes eventually. Not sure if I mentioned, but there's 2 limelight prime hydrangeas and then a magnolia tree as well. So those will all be, like this whole area will be cleaned up, made a full formal planting bed. And yeah, y'all, so many projects back here. And along my fence line back here in this corner area, I do still plan on keeping this empty, like completely bare, for some type of structure, y'all. And yes, I know what y'all are thinking. No, it's not going to be a greenhouse. I actually don't like the look of greenhouses, and I don't really have a need for one. So that will not be going here, but it'll be another type of structure. I do still need to go in and like fill in the gaps under my fence over here, throw out the like broken branches that have fallen out of the trees, because I have noticed there's a little rabbit that runs in and out from underneath my fence, and I don't want it to start eating my arborvitaes. So need to fill that in ASAP. But I do have a couple of plants that I just kind of rehab, like put them over here for rehab. I have a pink Rose of Sharon right here. This is a sunshine ligustrum. Those are weeds, so ignore those. And then down here I have an Indian hawthorn and a couple of other perennials tucked in under all those weeds. So still not really decided yet on what I want to do with this area. I've kind of toyed with some ideas about doing some kind of like terracing beds or maybe like some big large trees. I'm not sure yet. My neighbors still will be coming in and painting the rest of this. This is their fence, by the way, if y'all were wondering. Mine is the vinyl, theirs is wood. So they will be painting this white at some point. This is where I dumped all of my clippings or like branches from my hydrangeas. Just plan on mulching them out and spreading them. I just thought it was a good opportunity to mulch and reuse that material. So that's what that is. Ignore the mess. Okay, and then my back fence line, y'all. We've got some work to do. So if y'all remember last summer, I did purchase 7 emerald green arborvitaes on clearance, and I did lose a few of them, unfortunately. So this one over here on the end, this is the last one that I planted, and I was really hesitant on planting that one because it was in the worst condition. Obviously, it did not survive, so I will be pulling that out, replacing it. This one right here in the center, as well as this one over here on the end. Those two actually were transplanted last year from the pots that used to sit in my shade garden. So those 2 emerald greens are doing fine. These 2 flanking the gate here are actually DeGroote's arborvitaes. So these 2 are different. These 2 were transplanted last summer as well from my patio. They used to flank my patio. So these 4 are doing great. So from here over are the ones that I planted on clearance. So this one is doing great. This one was doing fine up until a couple days ago. I think I can just prune out this, let's see. Let me walk down here. Yeah, I'm thinking I can just prune out this dead branch. I don't know, the inside's kind of, maybe it's 2 branches, yeah. So I'm thinking I can just prune out those 2 and see how it does. I'm hopeful, y'all. Like, I really don't want to have to keep replacing trees. So the one that was here died a long time ago, like months ago. So I pulled that out, and then this one's doing fine. This one over here just started going downhill like a couple days ago when we got our freezing temperatures. So I'm going to replace that one and this one and hopefully be able to save that one. So that's the update on the clearance hedge. Not too bad of a success ratio. And then let me step back for this part, y'all. So this is what I'm going to be calling my conifer corner. So y'all know how I feel about evergreens. Like, if I could have a whole garden just full of evergreens, I'd be happy. Like, forget the blooms, just give me the lush green textures. Like, that's all I need. So my 2 cryptomerias over here on the corners have been doing amazing. These are called Gyokuro. Still not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But they've put on so much new growth, you guys. So all that fluffiness that you're seeing at the top, that's all new growth that they've put on since I planted them last year. So super happy with those. They have been loving their location. I do have 4 emerald green arborvitaes planted in the center, which they're just smaller. They're the same ones as these, just tinier. And then in front, I have 2 lemon lace elderberries. I did also have a blue spruce that was planted in the center, which I dug up and put into a pot, which has been sitting on my patio all winter. And it's turned completely green because it wasn't getting enough sun. So I've relocated that to the backyard. It's sitting on the patio, full sun all day, hoping that it will color back up and then I can move it back out here at some point. So that's the update on this area. Oh, and my little Hinoki cypress, which I never got around to planting last year, but it's still hanging in there, doing great. So that'll get in the ground at some point. But I want to kind of talk through my plans for this area with you guys. So if you remember last year, I did have my fence extended. Finally, I had it moved. And this pole right here is where the fence ended and kind of went up straight in this direction. So these 2 back panels are on a diagonal, and then my fence goes straight up this way. I know it doesn't look like a diagonal on camera, but when they extended it, they had to add this panel section here to the diagonal. So now from here all the way to this post here, that is all a diagonal wall. So I am going to be moving this tree because if I stand here in the center, right here is center between the 2 diagonal posts. So I need my symmetry, y'all. So I want to have my Gyokuro on this end, move this Gyokuro over here so that it's sitting in front of this post, and then I'll have to probably move my evergreens and maybe add an additional one. Thinking maybe 1 or 2 to fill in the gap. Probably just 1 because these get pretty wide. And yeah, so I need my symmetry, y'all. So I basically want to have my cryptomeria, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 emerald greens, and then cryptomeria. So that will be upcoming. And then over here is going to be my other big project along this fence line. So I do still plan on keeping my little evergreen that I popped in here. I cannot remember the name. It's going to stay though. It's a pretty blue evergreen. Get up close for you guys, and it's really soft, like it's not prickly, but I love that icy blue that it provides. So that will be staying. So these beds are about, maybe I think I added an additional 4 feet of depth from where it used to be, because the fence used to sit right up against this tree here. So I moved it back, and y'all saw all the compost that is sitting in my driveway. So I do plan on coming in here, formally making my beds. And y'all, I know I don't even want to say it, but yes, I do plan on bringing in more fill dirt. I'm so over dirt, y'all. Y'all know the struggle from last year. But I just want to bring in like maybe a couple yards of fill dirt to build up this slope. It does still have to slope just because that's how our grade is for our neighborhood. But I just want to soften the slope a little bit so it make it easier for me to be able to plant along this fence line. So I will come in, make formal beds, and just have like can y'all imagine like all of the planting space that I'll have over here? Oh, I can't wait. So that will be my other big project for this year. And then hopefully get to the patio extension as well. All right, y'all. So now we're on the west side of my house. This is, whoop, my bad, y'all. I did not mean to slam that door in your ear. I'm so sorry. But I feel like I always end my videos on this side of my house, which I just saved the best for last. So this is my prized, glorious limelight hydrangea hedge. Y'all know how I feel about my limelights. So if you guys have been following along over the years, you know that I have planted these from just tiny little stubs, pretty much. Like I cut them all the way down to the base. I purchased all of them for $5 about 6 years ago, and they have just done amazing. They put on a glorious show every single season. Down in front of them, I have 18 liriope lining the front border of the bed, which I did cut back, and they're starting to flush out with new growth. So I have 8 limelights planted in this hedge, and then I do have just one. This one right here is an endless summer hydrangea. Let me get my shadow out of the way. This one is pink blooming for me, you guys. So this is a hydrangea macrophylla. It is not a limelight. I decided to keep this one here just because I like its compact size. It does not block my window, like my view from the window. If I had a limelight here, it probably would grow up to like here-ish. So it would block my view. So I can just look out the window and just see a sea of pink blooms. So gorgeous, and has been doing amazing, you guys. It did struggle the first couple of years, but I think now it's gotten acclimated to this spot, and it just does amazing. So this bed is so low maintenance for me. I really just, all I have to do now is hook up my drip and mulch. Like, I love this bed so much, you guys. So I do have 8 planted in this bed here. This one on the end is the one that I want to show you. This is my newest one. So this one has only been in the ground 2 years. I did have to replace it. The rest of them have been in the ground about 6 seasons. And if you can see here, I do have hoop stakes on all of them. So I planted them as tiny, tiny babies, and the hoops have helped tremendously, you guys. So I think my older ones, I can go ahead and remove the hoops now. This one I'm going to keep on here for one more season just because these branches are not as thick yet. I think one more year and it'll be ready to come off, but they have done so well, you guys. I love the display that these put on every single year. I get so many compliments from my neighbors. Oh, I just love this bed so much. So yeah, this is my limelight hydrangea hedge. And then behind me, I have a hedge of Manhattan euonymus that I planted here, you guys. And I'm so impressed with how these are growing. Like, do y'all see all this new growth? It does wilt in the mornings just because of the cold temperatures, but in the afternoon it does perk back up. This thing was completely wilted. I was so worried about it, but I'm so happy to see that it's starting to rebound. I do still need to go in and top off the soil around the base and, of course, reseed this entire area. So if y'all remember last year, I did reseed this area with just ryegrass. Ryegrass completely dies out in the summertime, which I knew. All of the straw is still here. So I'm just going to come in, reseed, get it nice, lush and green with actual grass, not just ryegrass. And my little baby here is coming back. It's struggling, but I mean, it is trying to put out new growth. So I'm going to keep fertilizing it and just babying it, and it will eventually catch up with the others, which, y'all, look how much growth these have put on. Do you remember how tiny they were when I planted them? They have literally tripled in size in just 1 year. So happy with how these are doing. And y'all, I don't water these. Like, I don't hand water them in the summer. They're just thriving on their own. So I think this is going to be the last year that I'm going to leave them kind of woolly, and then eventually I'll start like actually shaping them, which I know y'all, the more you prune, the quicker they'll like branch out. But I think these are such aggressive growers. I think they'll be fine. So love how my little hedge is filling in. And then last but not least, I have my gorgeous tree ring that I installed a couple years ago, you guys. This has been such an addition to my front yard. It just looks so much better. I had the hardest time growing grass underneath this tree because the tree was sucking up all of the water and nutrients that the grass would not grow. So I just decided to make it a big planting bed. I am going to come in and probably remove like a thin layer, just a real thin layer of the leaves. I just decided to leave all the leaves in here over the winter so they can decompose, but I need to remove a small little layer just so I have room to plant and add mulch for the year. And I don't want it to be too high up on the trunk of the tree. Anywho, that is what my garden is currently looking like mid-March. I'm so out of breath, you guys. I'm gonna have to start breaking these videos up because it's just too much talking. Or maybe I just need to talk less. Note to self. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, any suggestions. I love interacting with y'all. Thank you so much for joining me and watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're interested in seeing more and following along. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in my next video. Peace.